Hey everyone, Alex here from ornamentdesigns.com, and today I finally have a new video for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make this ornament. I call this Blue Star because, well, obviously it's a blue star. So anyway, let's get started. All right, the tools that you'll need to make this ornament are a pen, either a marker like a Sharpie or a ballpoint pen, a measuring tape, a craft knife, scissors, a tucking tool, a glue stick, some craft glue, and if you make any mistakes, some liquid whiteout. Okay, the materials you need to make this ornament are some fabric, some craft cord, ribbon. I've got two different sizes here. I've got some 9mm and some 6mm, corsage pin, a couple of straight pins, a couple of sequins, a bead cap, and of course your foam ball. Alright, the first thing that you need to do is find the North Pole and the South Pole of your foam ball. Usually there are some factory markings. Here I've got an indentation right at the center of my ball on both sides. The South Pole, it's harder to see on this ball, but it's there. So you just draw a little dot indicating those 2 points. For this ornament, we'll be drawing 10 vertical lines. This is called a simple 10 division. And to make a simple 10 division, what you need to do is find the circumference of your foam ball and then divide the circumference of your ball by 10. Okay, so for example, the ball that I'm using is 7 centimeters in diameter, and that has a circumference of about 22 centimeters. So if I divide that by 10, I get 2.2. That is the distance between the points that I am going to draw on my equator line. The foam balls that I use have a factory marking running around the circumference of the ball. I call this the equator line. And here what I'm doing is I'm drawing 10 points around the equator line, 2.2 centimeters in distance from each other. And this way, when you connect the North Pole and a point on the equator and the South Pole, you can draw 10 vertical lines on your ball. All right, now let's skip ahead a little bit. And the next thing you're going to do is, starting at the top, measuring along one of your vertical lines, you're going to draw a point down 2 centimeters from the top. And you're going to do this on every other line. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing more closely. And I'm doing this, actually this is the South Pole that I'm doing this from. This is the bottom side. I've actually already done the top from the North Pole. So I'm only going to show you the one side here in order to save time, but you're going to do this on these same lines on both sides. Keep in mind that the measurements that you're going to use are probably different from the ones I'm using. Your measurement for these points should be about 1/3 of the way between the equator line and the North Pole. All right, now for the next step, what you're going to do is just pick one of those points at the top of your ball and draw a line using your measuring tape as a straight edge. Draw a line from that point down to the equator point and then across to the adjacent bottom point, like so. Then you're going to do the other side, the same thing, top point down through the equator to the adjacent point to make a big X. And you're going to do this all the way around your ball. So in the end, you're going to have 5 big X's. All right, now I'm going to jump ahead here to save on time. When you're finished, the top should have this star shape and the bottom should have this star shape. Also, go ahead and draw in your equator line so it looks like this on the side. Okay, so now very quickly, I'd just like to show you how I erase mistakes. As you can see here, I made a mistake. So I'm just taking some liquid whiteout and I'm just painting right over the top of that extra line that shouldn't be there. Okay, now we are going to make the inside star. On the lines that you didn't draw a point on before, you're going to draw a point that's 1 centimeter down from the center, or half of whatever your measurement was for that first point that we drew. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing more closely. And you'll have 5 points. Next, we're going to connect those points to make another star on the inside of our larger star. You are connecting a 1 centimeter point to a 2 centimeter point and back to a 1 centimeter point, all the way around that North Pole center point. Then just turn your ball over and repeat the same steps on the other side of the ball. I'm not going to show you in order to save time. We're going to go ahead and move right on into the next step here. I'm going to use 4 different colors of fabric for this ornament. I've got a shiny blue, dark blue lame, and I've got 2 different shades of blue satin, and I'm also going to use white satin. Lame and satin are very, very difficult fabrics to use. If you are still kind of a beginner at these types of ornaments, I suggest that you use cotton. All right, but before we actually get to the fabric part of it, we need to cut all the lines on our foam ball. So go ahead and take your craft knife. I've got this nice slider type knife here that I love to use. Cut about 5 to 8 millimeters into your foam ball. Okay, so let's skip ahead here to save on time. When you're finished with your cuts, go ahead and take your tucking tool and just run it through all of the cuts to widen the groove. It'll make tucking our fabric easier in the next step. Now it's time to start covering our ball with fabric. We're going to start with the center star, and I've cut a smaller piece of my fabric off here. It's just easier to work with when it's in a smaller piece. I'm going to place the fabric over the top of the foam and then tuck it in using my tucking tool into the grooves. All right, so now you've got your fabric all tucked in. You can trim the excess off and then tuck in the edges. Make it nice and smooth. Then move on to the next section. Tuck and trim. And you'll basically just keep going around until the entire center star is covered in fabric. And the center star will look something like this when you're finished. Then turn your ball over and do the other side. Okay, skipping ahead once again. Now that both center stars are covered in fabric, we will move to the outer star. And I've picked this nice royal blue satin. And I'm basically just going to do the same thing that I did before. Just place the fabric over the section using my tucking tool. Just tuck the fabric in. And trim off the excess. All right, jumping ahead again. This is what it's going to look like on both sides. And we are finished with the star. Now it's time to do the sides. I've chosen this light blue satin and some white satin to cover the sides. Alright, now I'm just about finished with this side section here. I've covered alternating triangles with white satin and light blue satin. And that's what it looks like. And you'll do that on all 5 sides of the ball. And here is what it looks like when it's completely covered with fabric. All right, our next step is putting on our cord trim. I'm going to find a starting point, probably somewhere on the side, and tuck in the end of your cord. And then you're going to get your glue stick, wherever mine is. There it is. All right, you'll get your glue stick, and you'll put a little bit, you'll scrape off a little bit of glue, and then you'll run it along the seam like so. And then you'll just lay your cord right on top. And oh, my cord came untucked. Let's stick that back in there. Okay, so then you'll just lay your cord over the top of the glue, and then you'll keep going. Scrape off some glue. And place it along a seam, like so. And then lay your cord on top. And just pat it down lightly. I'm patting it down lightly there with my thumb. Okay, so I decided to cover all of the vertical seams first, and then I moved on to the diagonal seams, which actually once I got to the diagonal seams, I realized that I should have done it the opposite way. So I suggest that you start by outlining the stars first, and then after you outline the stars, then cover the 10 vertical seams, those 10 original lines that we started with. Cover all of the seams with cord except for the equator. Alright, so as you can see, what was once our north pole and our south pole have now become the front and back of our ornament, because of course we want the star to show in the front. Now I'm going to put the ribbon around the equator, or what was once the equator, now it's sort of a vertical line going around. Choose where you want your top of your ornament to be. I wanted my star to be a little bit lopsided, a bit off-center, so I chose my top, where I want the top of my ornament. I chose sort of an off-center point. So when you trim your ribbon, if you want, you can just melt the end a little bit with a lighter. You don't have to. I just like doing this to prevent fraying. So you'll smooth your ribbon around the equator, and you'll just pin it right there, and you're done with your equator ribbon. Okay, grab a bead cap, grab a corsage pin, thread your bead cap onto the corsage pin, then take some of the thin ribbon, the thinner width ribbon, about 16 centimeters should do, and thread that on to your pin. And then you're going to stick this into the top where the pins for your equator ribbon are. And just put that right in the top. You probably will want to glue it. You can use your craft glue and just dip the end of the pin in the craft glue and then pin it to the top. It'll be more secure that way. Okay, so now we're just going to add a little sequin to the center of the star, and you'll do this on both sides. And you can add more sequins if you want. You don't have to add the sequins. It's up to you. I just think, you know, it adds a little extra sparkle and it's really nice. So you just add your 2 sequins and you're finished. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in learning more about making these kind of ornaments, please visit my website, ornamentdesigns.com. I also sell my ornaments. You'll find a link to my shop on my website there too. So thanks so much. Bye.